Hey guys, it's Athena. This is day 7 of my 12 days of Yule. And this evening I want to do something very different from anything I've done before. I'm thinking about reading a book to you. Something I don't know that if I've ever shared before, but during the work week, my most favorite sacred time of day is immediately after lunch is over at school, pick up the kids, and we get back to the room as fast as possible because we have 15 minutes, 20 at the most, more like 15, of sacred read aloud time. And I absolutely, positively adore that time of day. So far this school year, the first quarter, I read Wonder. By the way, highly recommend the book Wonder. I don't have the title, the author's name on me right now, but she is fantastic, and much to my delight, there's actually a movie that is in production right now. I think it's due to be released in April. I was pretty surprised by the actors. They got Julia Roberts and Owen Wilson are the parents. Not at all what I visualized them looking like, but it's going to be phenomenal. This red light is very, very bright. The second book I read during this second quarter, and we just finished it, I've read this book aloud literally no less than 23 times, I think. Hatchet by Gary Paulsen. It was out probably in the 90s, and it's very, very similar to Castaway, except for it's a 13-year-old boy who is in a 2-seater plane, and the pilot has a massive heart attack and dies. And this 13-year-old has to figure out how to land a plane in the Canadian wilderness and then survive. Such a good book. And kids lose their minds over it. I've read it from all ages, from 1st through 6th. Those are the grades I've taught. I have to edit and change a little bit when it's like 1st graders because there's like a little bit of older themes in it, but it's a great book. Anyway, all that is to say is that I love read aloud. I love read aloud. I get into it at school. I like it when there's Southern characters. But tonight I'm going to be sharing a book with you. I have only read this one aloud once. I read it to Poochie a couple weeks ago. He kind of liked it. He didn't like the ending. I think it's more of a parable, or yeah, I guess parable's the right word. It's got a message. I think a lot of us can identify with it. I think it probably means more to someone who has finished at least middle school, probably high school, college, a marriage or two. I'm not going to share with you my takeaway. I'm just going to say, my guess is if you have lived more than 20 years, you probably can find some meaning at this point in your life. You have probably been the fox in this story before. I will be changing positions here so that I can show you the pictures. This lighting is very red. I'm going to play around with the lighting a little bit, and then I will be reading it to you. I hope you enjoy, and it is called The Fox and the Star. And there's the author, Coralie Bickford Smith. I'll be right back. The Fox and the Star. Once there was a fox who lived in a deep, dense forest. Because Fox was small and the trees reached far higher than the tips of his ears, he was timid and afraid to stray far from his den. And yet, for as long as Fox could remember, he would wake at night to the cool, calm light of Star. Together, they made paths through the trees, Star brightening the shadows ahead. Star was Fox's only friend. Star would light the way for Fox as he foraged for beetles and ran wild in the tangled thorns. Star looked on when Fox chased the rabbits and raced through the thicket. Even when the rain fell, Fox felt fine. He asked Star to shine through the clouds so he could dance to the rain's tapping beat. All of Fox's happiness was bound to the flickering light of Star, and so it had always been. Then, one night, Fox woke, and everything had changed. Fox called out for Star, but Star did not appear. The forest stayed cold and dark and still. In the days that followed, Fox dreamt that Star would return, but the darkness drew closer. Without Star, there was no reason to go outside. Worried and lonely, he huddled in his den. Days and nights passed in silence until something stirred in the forest. The beetles were on the move, creeping and crawling to where Fox lay. Closer and closer the beetles came, seeking the still body of Fox in the belly of his den. The smell of 1,000 beetles ignited Fox's hunger. He faced the darkness and feasted on the tasty beetles, and he felt much better. It was time to go and find Star. Fox peered around the gloom and could just make out a clump of thorns. "Have you seen my Star?" Fox asked the undergrowth, but the thorns did not know of any Star. Next, Fox came across a colony of rabbits. "Have you seen my Star?" he shouted down the burrows. But rabbits have no time for foxes. Suddenly, Fox was beyond the forest he knew. He looked up at the trees. "Have you seen my Star?" he cried, but the trees were too tall to hear him. Fox found himself in a quiet, empty clearing he had never seen before. He sank to the ground and fell asleep. Fox woke to the sound of falling rain. He wanted to know if the rain had seen Star on its travels, but he did not know how to ask the raindrops. When the rain stopped, he had a feeling that something had changed. Fox called out to the forest, to the trees and the leaves, to the beetles and the rabbits, to the tangle of thorns and the life he had left behind. Where did Star go? He stayed still, listening to the noises of the forest, watching the leaves settle on the ground. Look up beyond your ears. Fox could not believe there were so many stars. His heart was full of happiness. He knew that somewhere out there was a star that once was his. Beneath the blazing sky of stars, Fox made his way through the forest. Look up beyond your ears. See what life in the universe has in store for you. Thank you for watching, guys. Blessed be.